Hello, I'm Jared Taylor with American Renaissance. On January 31st, a 23-year-old black man named Nkosi Tandiwe was sentenced to life in prison plus 65 years for murder. Back in 2011, he killed a white woman, Brittany Watts, at a parking garage in Atlanta, where he worked as a security guard. She was just about to go to lunch when he shot her, stole her car, hit her body as he drove away, and then opened fire on several more white women. He wounded Tiffany Ferenzi in the leg and paralyzed Lauren Garcia from the waist down. Nkosi Tandiwe explained his motives on the witness stand. "I was trying to prove a point that Europeans had colonized the world, and as a result of that, we see a lot of evil today." He also said, "I was trying to spread the message of making white people mend." Apparently, he thought he was helping white people mend by killing them. Where did he get ideas like this? As he testified during the trial, it was at the University of West Georgia, where he majored in anthropology. You see, Mr. Tandiwe was no ghetto thug. His father, Ilonga, is a computer engineer who has applied for several patents, and his mother, Lene, has a private law practice in Atlanta. Now, it's not possible to find out what courses Nkosi Tandiwe took at West Georgia. But if he took either of the basic U.S. history survey courses or the survey of world history, he learned, and I'm quoting from the course catalog, the significance of ethnicity, gender, race, and class in historical events. If he took a course called Introduction to Social Problems, he got, and I quote, an analysis of global inequality, the environment, race, class, gender. If he took Sociology of Medicine, he learned about, and I quote, race, class, and gender stratification within the healthcare system. You see, this stuff is everywhere at West Georgia. As Bruce Bauer explains in his recent book, The Victim's Revolution, most colleges have plenty of courses, even whole departments, that teach the doctrine that every bad thing that has ever happened to non-whites anywhere is the fault of white people. This is mainstream stuff. Joe Fagan is a professor at Texas A&M and past president of the American Sociological Association. This is the kind of thing he says. One can accurately describe the United States as a total racist society. And this: a black person has to view every white person as a potential enemy unless he personally finds out differently. And how about this? It is time to put white on black oppression fully at the center of a comprehensive study of the development, meaning, and reality of this nation. And of course, he means the United States. Then there's Noel Ignatieff of Harvard, who wants to, quote, abolish the white race, and whose motto is, treason to whiteness is loyalty to humanity. He says he doesn't want to kill all white people, just eradicate what he calls white privilege. Robert Jensen is a professor at the University of Texas at Austin. In a recent book called The Heart of Whiteness, he says of white people, we should learn to ask ourselves, how does it feel to be the problem? You see, he believes white people are the problem, not just for America, but for the whole world. Professor Jensen then goes on to suggest, maybe we should all be just shipped back to Europe. What's a black college student to do? White people themselves, white professors tell them we whites are a vicious scourge and richly deserve to be hated. And, as all the experts agree, white people can never be completely cured. Every new generation is a new generation of oppressors. So, Mr. Tandiwe did the logical thing. The way to eliminate the evil, as he put it, is to kill these incurable white people. Now, he's hardly alone, by the way. In 2007, Stephen Johnson was sentenced to 240 years in prison for shooting 3 white people and spraying kerosene on several others while he shouted, "White people are going to burn tonight." He told police this was vengeance for the mistreatment of blacks. In 2008, a white woman wept on the witness stand as she testified about a black man, James Henderson, who broke into her Raleigh, North Carolina apartment and raped her repeatedly. He said he was punishing her for the historic crimes of whites. In 2009, when a black man named Christopher Monfort ambushed and killed 4 white Seattle police officers who were sitting in a coffee shop, the head of the Seattle NAACP, James Bible, called the police occupiers and said it was legitimate to oppose them. In 2010, Theron Lacey went on trial in Dallas for stabbing a 67-year-old white woman to death. He explained to his girlfriend, LaShonda Johnson, that it was okay because, quote, her family probably owned slaves. Now, at least these people all explained how they feel about whites. But what about all the other blacks who kill, rape, or assault whites? I'm sure you remember the flash mobs from last summer that struck all over the country. There are far too many cities to name, but there's a website, violentflashmobs.com, that documents these attacks. The pattern is always the same. Mobs of young blacks descend on white people, beating them and stealing purses and cell phones. And I'm sure you've heard about the black thugs who walk up to someone and try to knock him out with a single sucker punch. They've been doing this all over the country: Philadelphia, Kansas City, Chicago, St. Louis, Portland, Baltimore, etc., etc. In some places, the game is called Knockout King, but it's also called polar bear hunting because the thugs go looking for white victims. I think it's pretty safe to say that the people who play this game hate white people. Hatred helps explain why, according to Justice Department figures, a black person is 40 times more likely to commit criminal violence against a white than the other way around, and why there are 10,000 to 12,000 black on white rapes every year, but just a few hundred that go the other way. Now, these criminals probably never went to college. They probably never heard of Joe Fagan or Noel Ignatieff or Robert Jensen, but they sure got the message. They got the message that white people are uniquely evil and deserve whatever they get. So I have a question for you lot, Fagan, Jensen, Ignatieff, and all you other swine who teach blacks to hate us. Are you happy now? Are you happy how well your lessons were learned? There is blood on your hands. Brittany Watts was 26 and recently married. She's dead. Lauren Garcia was 23. She will never walk again. Their families will never be the same. There are hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of whites whose lives have been snuffed out or wrecked because the hatred that you, yes, you, spread through this country. Of course, we're not supposed to notice black hatred of whites. The mass media certainly don't. Hardly anyone in America even knows Brittany Watts' name. But if a white policeman arrests an out-of-control black Harvard professor, that's coast-to-coast news. It's reason for what President Obama calls a national conversation. Any chance of a national conversation about Nkosi Tandiwe and Brittany Watts? No. The media and the universities are too sick for that. They are too sick even to realize they're sick. The Republicans are not quite as sick, but they're cowards. So there won't be as much as a stir. Universities will continue to teach their students that we white people are the world's biggest problem. Or, as writer Susan Sontag once explained, the cancer of human history. And when students take them at their word and act on what they learn in college, it's just another crime statistic. Well, there are more and more of us who understand exactly what is going on. And we have our own conversations. And we won't forget. Thanks for listening.